Okay.
Hi. I'm Jenny Wesle. I'm from Croft Gardens, and I also have Magical Activist, which is my little herbal business that I do alongside the farm. And I'm going to do a fire cider recipe today, a demonstration of that, and talk a little bit about immune support and herbs that are great for the winter. So I've got everything prepped here, and I'm going to show it. And we start with one question, which was on the ginger. And yes, I grow my own ginger.
Oh, do you?
I grow it in the greenhouse, so I plant the tubers early in the spring, and then it stays in the greenhouse all summer, and I harvest it in the fall. It doesn't get as big normally as like store-bought ginger. They're usually like pretty little, but you can use that, and you can use the greens as well. So the greens on the ginger are like a milder flavor, and I use them in teas a lot. So that's a nice flavor.
Where do you get the roots to plant?
Trying to remember the name. I got it from an organic seed company actually.
In BC?
In BC, and I'm trying to remember the name.
That's okay.
It's escaping me, but you could also plant any organic ginger.
Okay.
So basically you can get the ginger tubers as long as they're organic and plant them in the spring. Yeah.
Would you be saving some of yours for next spring, or just?
I'm hoping so. They're not keeping that well.
Okay.
So like if I can keep them well enough they don't dry out too much, then I will plant some from my own.
Okay.
So that would be nice. Yeah, so the basics of the fire cider is that it's apple cider vinegar, and then you infuse all your herbs into the apple cider vinegar. The recipe I have here, and you're welcome to take a picture of it to take home with you, because I didn't want to print a whole lot of paper. But the basic recipe is for a 2-quart, hello Roy, for a 2-quart jar, and I've got it just about that size here. It's about 3 cups of apple cider vinegar, but you'll see I add all the herbs first and then just fill it up with apple cider vinegar, so it kind of depends like how good you pack it down. And then I do horseradish, and I always just kind of wing it. I don't actually follow an exact recipe, but for recipe's sake, I do about a cup of chopped horseradish and about a cup of chopped ginger, and then I do 1 medium onion. And I usually chop these things really finely or grate them. So I find grating the horseradish or the ginger really works to bring out the flavor of it and all the goodness. And then I do turmeric. So I use a chopped turmeric, but you can use a turmeric powder as well. Either works totally fine. About 10 cloves of garlic, which I crush. So I just crush, and same with the onion and the garlic. I don't even take the peels off. I use everything organic, obviously. And I just crush the whole garlic and sometimes chop it in a few pieces. And then I usually add some lemon. It adds a nice flavor in there. So organic lemon, chop it up. And then I add, if I have fresh peppers, like I'll add jalapeno or chili pepper that's fresh. I don't have that now, so I'm using cayenne pepper powder and chili powder. And then I usually do thyme, rosemary, and sage, but you can definitely add other herbs if you like other flavors in there. I know like oregano works really good. You can put elderflowers in. You can add other things like rose hips, elderberries. I know people, I think, what did you say, Eileen? Someone added beets into there. So you could definitely go creative and add other things. So I add kind of a handful of thyme, and I use the sticks and all. Put the whole thing in. About a handful of rosemary and a pinch or 2 of sage. And then I add a few spices. These ones I guess I don't grow either. So I add a little bit of cinnamon. So I add about 3 cinnamon sticks. Some black pepper and cloves. They do help enhance the qualities of the other herbs, and they're also nice support for the winter season as well, very warming. I don't usually add it, but I'm adding some rose hips this time, just for fun, to see how that tastes. So basically all you're doing then is adding everything into here. And yeah. Does anyone have any questions about any of the herbs here? Basically, like I add turmeric, which is a great immune support for its anti-inflammatory properties.
Yeah, I've never added the herbs.
Yeah.
So
I like it. It gives a nice flavor, and they do have medicinal qualities. Thyme, for example, is super good for your throat, for your lungs. It helps like soothe like a hoarse throat or a sore throat, so that's nice in there. Rosemary is just like a nice uplifting herb, and it's good for cognitive health. So I find for the winter, especially when you're feeling a little lower maybe with the lack of sunlight, a little bit of rosemary is nice. Sage is also really good for the respiratory system, and yep, it's really nice for that as well. And the other thing is too, like a lot of these herbs are really good for circulation. So for the winter season when it's colder, it's nice to boost the circulation and have the warming herbs in there. So like the cayenne is really good for that. Cinnamon sticks, I usually break them up a little bit. In there. I have a little note as well, like notes here about all of the herbs. So again, if you want to take pictures or ask any questions. Yeah, so the horseradish, like horseradish is kind of, to me, like the most important part because it adds that element of sinus decongestion and really helps like improve your breathing if you are really congested and not feeling well.
Yeah, it's not quite the same without horseradish.
No, I don't, like it needs horseradish. Yeah. And that's one that's kind of hard to find sometimes locally, but I'm hoping that I'll get some more horseradish. So I have business cards here. So if anybody's looking for horseradish in the fall, maybe find me. We might have enough to spare.
Yeah, I've only ever found horseradish typically at DeMille's actually.
Okay.
You can buy just some chunks of root, but
that's good to know because I've had a hard time finding it other than like my own and like a couple people that I know.
I put a post on Facebook looking for horseradish just 2 weeks ago, and
Okay.
I had lots of people saying, "Come and dig it up."
Okay. I mean, it does grow basically wild.
yeah, that's right.
The thing I find is that it doesn't often grow very big, so you end up with these very little tubers that are a little bit tedious to work with. This year I obviously have
That's incredible.
a big one there. And the garlic is really nice in there. It's also great for the immune system, and it does add a really nice flavor in it as well. That's the thing I find, like if you're gonna take something for colds or your flus or even just for support, it's kind of nice if it tastes good. It encourages you to use it. So yeah, once you're putting all your ingredients in, it'll basically be like a pretty much 3/4 full jar. I put the onion skins and the garlic skins in too, as long as you're using organic ingredients, which would be the best. Definitely do
I read that onion skins actually contain the most amount of the quercetin.
Yeah.
So and that helps to get zinc actually into your cells.
Yeah, okay. See, I kind of just figured that, but I haven't really researched that. I just figured like,
That was during the COVID researching.
Oh, yeah.
The
Going down the rabbit hole.
reading.
Yeah, so basically what you're gonna do is just have it so it's 3/4 full, and you could add other things too. It doesn't matter if it's a bit fuller, that's fine. Like you could add elderberries into there now, you could add some beets into there now, you could add more horseradish if you like more, or other herbs or spices. And then the next step would be the apple cider vinegar, and I use a raw, unpasteurized organic apple cider vinegar, and I get it from Organic Matters. They seem to have a really good quality one. So that then has the good probiotics still in it. It's good for your gut health. The only thing I do recommend, and I say that to people, is if you have a sensitive stomach, if you have like acid reflux or other, maybe like an ulcer, definitely you want to be a little bit cautious with taking the vinegar. So in that case, I do recommend like adding it more into your food if you're gonna take it, and definitely diluting it with water if you do take it. Like I take it by the spoonful, but some people are definitely more sensitive on their stomachs. So then,
Do you ever make your own apple cider vinegar?
I haven't.
I haven't yet either. I tried once and it kind of got moldy, so I haven't.
I know people who've have, and it would be interesting. We do have apples. So
Yeah.
maybe try it.
Anybody here ever made their own? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Just do a class on it.
No. So this jar is a little bit of an odd size, but it seemed like a good one to demonstrate. So what I would do is actually fill it right to the top. Make it nice and full, and then put the lid on tight. I let it sit for usually 4 to 8 weeks. I definitely recommend at least 4 weeks because that really gets everything infused in there nicely. I keep it in somewhere that's cool and dark. Just like the coolest place in your house would be a good spot for it. And then basically I shake it every couple days to get everything mixed up in there. This is one that I did like a week and a half ago. So I thought I'd give an example. Like it's kind of taken on the color of the turmeric and it's been infused for a little bit longer. And then yeah, after the 4 to 8 weeks-ish, I would strain all of the solids out of there. So I strain into a colander or sieve and then usually with some cheesecloth and then squeeze everything out really well. I've used the solids actually then as flavoring for stuff. If you eat meat, you could add it into like meat or whatever you'd like because that does still have a lot of flavor and good stuff in there. If not, you can compost it. And then once you strain out all of the solids, then I add about 1/3 of the liquid amount in honey. So I'd add about a cup of raw pasteurized honey into there once you've strained everything out. And the honey is really soothing on your throat and soothing on your digestive system as well, antibacterial. So that's kind of one of the reasons that you put it in there, but it also tastes nice. It adds that little bit of sweetness. So yeah, I add about a cup of honey, shake it up till it's totally integrated into it, and then it's basically ready. You can use it, and it is very shelf stable, but I always tell people put it in the fridge. Then you're sure that it's good and it lasts a long time. Yeah, and then I add it. I usually have it like in some hot water. I like it like that. It really helps clear sinuses and.
Would you put a tablespoon in, 2 tablespoons?
I usually add about a tablespoon. Yeah, and if you're really feeling under the weather, I can sometimes do that a couple times a day. But like I said, it's not something that you'd have to like go totally sparingly on either. Like you can take it when you feel down, or you can also add it into your salad dressings or use it culinarily as well. Yeah, so that's basically the basics of that. Any questions or ideas or?
Yeah, there's a lot of recipes online. Yours is definitely has a lot more ingredients.
Yeah.
Which
I think there's definitely
curious to
lots
see what that would all taste like, especially with the cinnamon too added in there.
Yeah. Well, I have some here if anybody wanted some. I don't have a good way of sampling any right now. Like we should have had like maybe little cups or something.
We have little cups.
Little cups.
Yeah.
In the staff room.
I mean, if someone wants to try some, we could do that.
Yeah. Is it the same recipe that you have bottled
Yeah,
too?
well, I could do like a bottle from here. I don't think I'd do the one with the chunks in it.
No, not yet.
But we could do that if somebody wanted to try some. I'm okay with that.
I mean, I'd be pretty keen.
Be pretty keen.
Would you like me to get the cups?
Yeah. So what else do you have in your little box there?
Yeah, so I kind of just, these are things that are for sale if anybody wants them, but there's a couple more herbs that would be really nice support for the winter, fall, flu, cold season. So a couple that I definitely recommend where I have a sage oil. So the sage oil is a nice topical oil that you can use, for example, as a chest rub if you are having respiratory issues. And that's nice and warming as well. I have a nasturtium tincture. Nasturtiums are a super antimicrobial plant, actually. So they're super great for being antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. They work really well, actually, for urinary tract infections. So that's something you can take for that as well. So that's definitely one that I take if I'm feeling sick.
So is that leaves and flowers?
Leaves and flowers, yeah. Yeah, so that is something obviously we don't have in the winter, but I make a tincture with it. That way I can use it through the winter. So for that one, I use the nasturtium leaves, flowers, and roughly chop them and then put them into an organic vodka.
Okay.
And then I let that infuse for about, again, like 6 to 8 weeks at least. And then I add a little bit of honey into it.
Oh.
Taste. Makes it more encouraging to take it.
Okay.
It tastes a little bit better.
But in the bottle, maybe it would go over tinctures even too. Like
yeah, so the tinctures I definitely recommend as a winter support because we do have a lot less fresh stuff available to take, and it really preserves the properties of the plant well. The alcohol extracts all of the benefits from it really well, and you can also take small portions of it, right? It goes a long way. So nasturtium is definitely one I recommend, and the other ones that I had here would be Tulsi basil or holy basil. That one's a good adaptogen, so it kind of adapts to your body's needs. Really good for the nervous system. So again, for like if you're feeling the winter blues, that's nice and helpful. And it's also an immune support. Another one that I have is elderflower tincture. So elderberries are really known to be a good support for your immune system, but the elderflowers are slightly gentler, maybe. They're easier to take over a longer period of time, and super good for sinuses again. So if you're having sinus issue, the elderflower is super good for that. So for that one, I use the elderflower and then infuse them in alcohol. And for that, I usually, like if you're thinking portion sizes, if you're doing an amount, I do about half to 2/3 with the herb, and then the rest and fill it up with the alcohol.
So I've tried using fresh, and I find that I'm getting issues with molding on top sometimes. With tinctures.
Okay.
And even oils. So, but you're using fresh predominantly?
I use mainly fresh, yes.
Okay.
The higher water content a plant has, the more likely it could mold.
Yeah.
So you can always let things wilt for a little bit. So maybe like a day or two, not dry them, but just like let them wilt. But dried works pretty good too.
Right.
I find that the fresh ones tend to be a bit more potent. But if you're worried about molding, like it's better to have the dried and not have mold than to.
Or actually, maybe I'm thinking about that with oils, like
The
infusing oils.
Yeah, infusing oils definitely is tricky with fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that I've usually chopped the plants and let them sit for a day or two to really dry, and definitely not with high water content plants.
Okay.
So if you're going to infuse oils, plants with like a higher essential oil content and a lower water will be easier to infuse. So something like lavender, rosemary, sage, the really potent ones. Something like mint, or I don't know.
I wasted like almost a whole bottle of olive oil on calendula flowers.
Calendula tend to mold.
Yeah.
Because they're very moist.
Yeah.
A lot of water content. So actually the calendula oils that I've done mostly with dried calendula. And I find it works pretty good. Yeah. Another one that I have in tincture form here is lemon balm, which I find helps with digestion, especially since we're eating heavier foods in the winter. That's a nice support for that, and it's really great for supporting restful sleep. So since the winter time is a good time to go more inwards and be more restful, it's nice to have that support for that. What else did I have on my little notes here? Yeah, so like recommendations for winter, cold, flu season, just generally for herbs. Really warming herbs are really nice, kind of understandably, because it keeps you a little bit warmer, but it also helps your circulatory system, which then boosts your immunity as well. Integrating herbs into cooking and with seasonal foods. So again, you can use fire cider in your cooking, but you can also use the herbs separately and use them in your cooking. So any of those ingredients will be really helpful for the season. Not exactly herbs, but warming foods in general are really supportive for our bodies during this time. And then teas, I actually sold out of basically all my teas. So I did not have any teas to bring, but some herbs that can be really good for teas during this time would be thyme. So thyme is a super great herb for your respiratory and also for your throat and sinuses. So I usually do thyme tea with mint. It tastes good, and so that's one that I take when I'm feeling sick. Sage is nice in a tea as well, rose hips, and then spices like chive, which I'm drinking right now. Warming herbs in general are really nice in teas. Yeah, and then other helpful herbs that I can definitely recommend for the cold and flu season would be mullein, super good for the lungs. Elderberry, like elderberry syrups or shrubs, are also a really good immune support. There's some Controversy whether you should take elderberry a lot though, because it can sometimes trigger your immune system to be overactive actually. So I definitely recommend taking it when you are feeling sick or feeling like you're going to be sick. Oregano is a good antiviral, so again you could add that into cooking, or you could add that into your fire cider if you wanted to. Rose hips, high in vitamin C, any vitamin C. Foods like lemons are really nice for that as well. Yeah.
Actually, oil of oregano came up recently. You actually can take too much.
You can, yeah.
And people probably need to know that.
Don't overdo it.
Yeah.
I actually find that oregano oil is not the best for me. Maybe that's like, it's just very potent, and I find that it actually gives me stomach issues.
Yeah.
Whereas like I could drink the apple cider vinegar apparently just fine, but
Yeah.
oregano oil just bothers my stomach.
So like it is an antibiotic technically, and so
But you don't want to overdose
if you,
on that either.
that's right, you can overdo
Destroy your-
anything that you think is a good antibiotic can also still ultimately kill
Yeah, gut bacteria.
too much gut bacteria and be putting you backwards. So lots of people putting it under their tongue, which is also like if you're swallowing it, is pretty potent on your esophagus too. So it's like you gotta be like careful with it. And then like I know a lady who's right now, she's just like 6 weeks of sinus infection, and she said she was on her, I think she said her 3rd bottle.
That might be
Which
too
is
much.
like, okay, so maybe it was her 2nd, but okay, so that's probably too much now, right? So a few days at a time, take a break.
And with a lot of the herbs, like most of them are quite safe, but for example, for tinctures, because they are so potent, I do like write on there how much to take. And it's usually with tinctures better to start at the lowest possible dose. And then if you feel like you could use a little bit more, to use a bit more, or consult somebody who knows about it. Because yes, if you take too much tincture, it can be counterproductive actually,
Right.
for your immune system and for whatever it is you're using it for. Fire cider, I mean, probably if you drank the whole bottle in one go, it might be too much, but it is one that I found you can take daily quite easily, so it's nice for that.
Yeah, I mean, it does give me heartburn, so I have to
So
be
you have
careful
to-
with it. Yeah,
Or definitely mix it with water or
Yeah.
with food.
yeah.
Yeah. So that is one thing, like I put it on the bottle too. I'm like, take it with water, see how it is, because some people's digestive system is just a little bit sensitive.
Yeah.
So do you recommend taking it daily then, or do you recommend just when you're, get the feeling you're not?
I would say I recommend taking it when you're feeling like you're coming down with something, or you're feeling like your body is a bit vulnerable or needing a boost for the immune system. I don't take it every day. I kind of take it when I feel like I need it.
And so once you got it made, it's in your fridge, you have it, how long will it stay good in the fridge? So now we're at the end of May and
So,
we're feeling good. It's still gonna be good in November?
It is good. I say it's good for 6 months. Realistically, it's actually probably good longer. Like the apple cider vinegar and the honey in there is super preservative. It keeps things really well, but like for safety's sake, I tell people about 6 months, but I've had actually fire cider or oxymels in general, which oxymels are basically the apple cider vinegar and honey. So any herbs that you infuse in that is an oxymel. And I've had some for 2-3 years and actually used them totally fine, but yeah, I say about six months for sure. And yeah, I keep that in the fridge and then use it when I need it.
Yeah, so best to make it in what, September?
Yeah, so I think I was saying someone earlier, I usually do a couple batches. So as soon as I have the roots that I want ready, which is usually September-ish, I harvest horseradish and the ginger and garlic and all that, and I make a batch usually in September. So that one will be ready for like the mid-fall season, and then I usually do another batch in November or December, and that will carry me through the rest of the winter or spring season for sure. This year I might even try making another one in January or February, because I do have like the giant roots still. And the horseradish keeps really well. So this guy I harvested in, I think, middle or end of October, and still holding in there. Peel it. Yeah, so I do peel the horseradish. That is one thing. You can use you could use the peel of it, but I find it's so like porous. It's hard to clean, so I just peeled it all and then grated it, and same with the ginger. Yeah.
So how do you grow your ginger?
So the ginger I grow in the greenhouse.
Okay.
It'll grow if it's in the greenhouse. I know some places, some people have grown it in like Kelowna outside, but I think here we're a little bit north, and I think it's better to grow in a greenhouse, or you could grow it in your windowsill. So you have the soil. I do like a shallow tray of soil,
Okay.
and then put the.
Because I find mine, I will find them sprouting.
Yeah, so you grab the tubers that you have, or organic ginger,
Yeah.
and the spots that are sprouting, or you can see these are the spots that will
Yeah.
sprout. You place those upwards and just do it like halfway into the soil,
Oh,
and then keep it moist but not wet, and it will continue sprouting. I
so
think I
like an
planted-
iris bulb.
Yeah,
really.
like a bulb.
They're usually kind of above the ground too.
Yeah. So I think I planted about 50 or 60 bulbs of them, or tubers of them, and about 40 grew. About 20 of them spoiled or didn't grow properly.
Okay.
And then from that like tray that I had, I transplanted them into these like big soil sack planters that we have in the greenhouse, and then they took the whole summer to actually get big enough. And they're pretty cool plants. Like the leaves are about like that tall.
Oh,
They look almost like bamboo. Like they're like a really tall, skinny shoot with leaves on the top. And I do use the leaves as well.
yeah. What
Yeah.
do they taste like?
Like ginger, just mild.
Okay.
Yeah, just like a really mild ginger taste. So I chop them up and put them in teas, or into like stir fries, or in your food. And they're really nice like that as well. Kind of almost looks like a lemongrass actually. That's what it looks like. So it's not that hard to grow, but I think depending on the season we have, and I mean we've had a lot of hot summers, which is fortunate and good, I guess, but it did really well with the heat.
Do you grow turmeric?
I haven't,
you?
but I want to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one I haven't tried, but I think I might try it this season. Cause like I'm using organic turmeric here. Again, I got it from Organic Matters because I get good bulk amounts from them. But that would be one I'd like to try.
Yeah.
And see if it grows, because I think you could do it in the greenhouse again. Like it's a nice hot long season.
Yeah, that'd be good because that's a long distance to ship it, right?
Yeah.
And then you definitely want organic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Could you not grow it in a hoop house, like in your garden? Like small
The
roots?
turmeric?
Yeah, the turmeric and the ginger instead of in your greenhouse.
Could try. Yeah, could try.
Because I think the lower hoops, right?
I think for the ginger it would probably work, as long as it's not in freezing temperatures. Like I think,
Yeah.
because I kept it in our, like the greenhouse we have, or if you did it in your home, if you bring it actually warm, I started it in our little hot, because we have like the greenhouse is unheated, but then we have like a little section that's heated.
Oh.
So I started it on it has like a heat pad underneath.
Yeah.
So then it kept it above freezing for sure.
So you could start it in.
You could start it.
Really common in houses.
Yeah, you could start it on
And
heat
you
mat
roll
and
it.
transfer it into your hoop house, and just definitely close it up if it's getting
When
cooler.
did you start it?
March, beginning of March,
Yeah,
and then I
think it's
harvested
time
it.
to-
And then I harvested it in September.
Okay, yeah.
So pretty
What
pretty
kind
good
of sun
season.
does it say that it wants? Is it?
It likes full sun or partial
Is it?
shade.
Okay.
Definitely not shady.
Right.
And it likes a well draining soil.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't want to be too wet, but also doesn't like to be too dry.
Yeah.
But
I guess you have to figure out where it natively grows.
definitely like a well draining soil is
Okay.
good.
I gotta do that this year. Every year you gotta sort of add that one extra little new thing, right?
Yeah.
It's been ginger. I've always wanted to grow ginger. I just don't.
I think
Do it.
it's easy enough that if you do like
Yeah.
20 tubers or whatever, you're gonna get some out of it for sure.
For sure.
And then the horseradish is kind of half growing wild at our place, so that's been lucky. But some years it hardly grew at all. So this
Yeah.
year it did really well.
But you said that was under a compost pile.
It was we had a compost pile at one point there,
Yeah.
and then now it was like soil, but obviously had a lot of nutrients in the soil and it liked it.
Okay.
Dug it up with a tractor. The root was about like that long.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of tapered.
Do you sell plants?
We do, in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah, so
But you sell some horseradish plants?
maybe.
Because I know that Tasty Acres does. If you wanted to start your own.
Yeah, okay, that's a good option. I haven't sold them before,
Yeah.
but maybe I'd have a few. It
Yeah.
would be like a few, but
You're having a Fire Cider garden.
yeah. Ginger started.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Could. It's not a bad idea.
No.
Yeah. Have some
I've heard of
ginger-
pizza gardens, right?
Ginger in some pots maybe for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone want to try it? I don't know if we have water to add into anything.
I'm super keen to try it because
Yeah.
I'd love to try your all your flavors together. 'Cause I don't had those in at all.
We can just do little
Sure.
little amounts then if anybody wanted to try it. Open this one.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it straight up.
Straight up. I do have water as well though, for my own personal thing, but
I have a drink here. It's all right.
We'll just do little bits. So nobody's
You guys gonna just
over
watch
the-
me watch my my eyes water?
I'll try a little bit.
What's on the nose?
What's on the nose? Garlic.
And does that have honey in it or no?
This one has a little bit of honey.
Oh,
in
it does.
Yeah.
The cinnamon. It's much tastier than mine.
Yeah.
I'll try some.
Just little bits here. Want to give anyone too
The
shocking.
lemon is nice. Start tasting, try to find all the.
All the notes.
Mm-hmm. My first was the cinnamon. I felt like I tasted
Okay, yeah.
first, which I never thought about trying putting into it. So do it.
Notes of vinegar.
It's good. It's tasty though.
I can taste the garlic.
Yeah.
So this
Do you want to try one, Ryan? No?
you would dilute it with water?
So I usually dilute it with water, and I usually tell people to dilute it with water because it's then not as strong on your guts. But you can totally do.
And there's that little afterburn too of the cayenne, I think too.
Yeah.
It's good.
So would you fill this up with water or more?
I usually, if I'm adding water, I usually add hot water because I find it enhances like the sinus clearing properties of
Yeah.
it. So yeah, I would just do a little cup of water and then just add like a tablespoon into it.
Yeah,
it's,
I like
it's
it.
stronger to take it like this, but
It's tasty.
it's pretty tasty.
It
Pretty
is
potent.
tasty.
Nice.
Yeah, and it goes a long way. Like if you're doing it just by the spoonful when you need it.
Yeah. But well worth making.
But well worth making, yeah. Yeah, and definitely feel free to take some pictures of what I've got here. So I had the recipe here and a few little recommendations, and then I put my herbs thing the wrong way around, but yeah, I just had like a little bit about all the herbs here.
Okay, maybe I'll try this.
Yeah. Any other questions or any other things that people are curious about?
Tinctures, do you take just a couple drops?
Yeah, so the tinctures, I have it written on them because I kind of have recommendations for the different ones, different amounts, but on average, it's about like half a dropper full to 2 droppers full when needed. So this one, for example, lemon balm is like half to 2 droppers, and I always recommend starting at the lower end first and seeing how that affects you, and if it makes you feel better at that amount, then you don't have to do more.
And you just put it on your tongue?
I put it usually either under my tongue or in some water again.
Okay.
Yep. Some people don't mind the taste, but I mean, some of them are more strong herbal tastes than others. So if you don't like the taste of it, then I would just say add it into water or tea.
Well, the alcohol is strong.
And the
too.
alcohol is strong,
Yeah.
so it's
So then you can apparently though you can. So if you put it into hot water,
Mhm.
then the heat will actually evaporate off the alcohol.
yeah, that's true. So that's one thing I recommend. Like
Mhm.
if you don't want to have the alcohol, or if you're giving it to kids, like
Yeah.
I do advise caution with it, but you can
Yeah.
add it into boiling water, let it evaporate all the alcohol, and then once it cools down, then it's
Yeah. And I think some of the benefit then is like really that you're getting the actual medicinal components into your bloodstream faster, right? As opposed to it going through your digestive process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is the good thing about tinctures. And it's like they're very potent, so that little amount is actually going a long way as compared to like if you do tea.
Yeah.
Tea's great, and there's lots of good qualities about tea, but it's not going to have as strong of an effect on your body as a tincture. Apple cider vinegar is actually a really good solvent as well for extracting all the like the content of the herbs, so it is a good alcohol alternative. Not quite as long lasting, like for storage, like tinctures. I tell people again, I say like 2 years, but realistically, you can probably keep tinctures for 10 years and they'd be totally fine. And then oils, I do infuse herbs in oils as well, and that's a nice support for the winter as well. You can do like herbal body oiling, so like the sage oil I have, which is, I did fresh sage and then olive oil. And that one is really nice. It's really warming for your system, so that helps again with immune support, with your circulatory system, and is also kind of mood boosting. But you can do other herbs as well infused in oil, but it is a little tricky to get it not to mold. So with those, I do recommend either using dry herbs, or really, if you're going to use fresh herbs, just use the ones that are super high in the essential oils, like a sage or a lavender.
Yeah, you can't be wasting olive oil right
Don't
now.
waste olive oil.
The price just like really shot up. So
that's kind of what I have for you guys. Unless anyone has any other questions, or I'm definitely happy to.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I grew up on an organic farm, so kind of forever, but I really began like studying seriously herbalism and doing it practically since 2017. But before that, I learned a lot from both my parents, because they both used a lot of these practices without, calling it herbalism. So I have the tinctures and the fire cider. If anybody wants any, I have a little discount on it all for you guys today if you want it. And I have my business card if you're interested in learning more or have any questions. And then I have a little discount coupon for our farm store as well if you guys ever want to come out and
have
check it out.
you been to the Green Croft before?
Oh, yeah.
It's worth the drive. It's lovely.
Every week.
Every week. Eileen's a regular. Roy's a regular too. Yeah.
Do you guys have quite a bit at the store right now?
Yeah, so we have all our veggies, I have my herb stuff, and then we do carry quite a lot of local vendors products. So we have some inspired breads, and then we have my dad's breads that he does, and we have stuff from Arnold's Pure Baking. We have elderberry syrup from the elderberry farm.
How did your apples do this year?
Our apples do pretty good.
I remember getting some golden delish there a few years ago. And they were like,
so we have our own apples that were earlier, and now we've bought in apples from a local
And they
orchard.
they have their own walnuts and hazelnuts.
Yeah, walnuts,
I just
hazelnuts.
got Some, they're smaller, but they're very
They're so
good.
good, hey?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Bellman, the Hascaps.
yeah, we have
Hascaps.
Hascaps.
She's got a barbecue sauce.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yum.
There's quite a few other things there. Hot sauces,
Yeah.
soaps and stuff from Natural,
Do you still have all the animals?
and all the animals.
Which are cute now.
Yeah.
Come to the fence.
Did you say Grinrock?
In Grindrod, yeah.
So right near, so you see Sure Crops, and then just down that corner, and then there's a sign that will say to
Go
come
left.
down, sort of.
Yeah.
Is it the dirt? It is a dirt road, right?
It's a questionably paved road.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's
And then
about
just follow
3
that.
3 kilometers off the highway from Shercroft. Yeah. So I'm also at the market
Yeah.
on Saturdays every week in Salmon Arm. But the farm store is there if you're curious about checking it out. And actually, our farm store is open next weekend yet. So
Okay.
And
so
that's
that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Nice.
12 to 6.
10 till 6
10 to
actually.
6 or so. So yeah. lots of
Yeah,
fun.
so 3 days of the week. So next week is
Pretty
the
good.
last one before a little break
A little
for the
break.
holidays.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Thanks for coming out, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
And definitely, thank you. If you have any other questions, just feel free to ask. I'm going to